Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure for us to be present today with the AWS. So we're going to present two use cases of the data that we have up and running in the AWS cloud today. And I have with me, first with Dustin Sullivan, he's CEO at SportsDataIO, and Becca Monahan, that she is Commercial Director at Official Charts. And I am Tom Gennari, Chief Data Officer at Fabric. So we collect data. We collect data globally on what's happening on everything streaming. And one of the things that how we approach the market is understanding everything that is being supplied and everything that is generating demand on the users, okay? And this includes titles. And there are so many layers to this and so many questions that need answering. And when we look at all of this data at a global scale, one of the hardest questions to answer nowadays is where is sports within all of this? Historically, we've been used to watching sports on broadcast television, on pay TV, but over the last few years, more and more, we have seen the users expecting to watch TV online, on demand. And we have always said that sports was like that last thing holding pay TV in its place as a business model, as a means of distributing content. Well, lately, we're now also seeing the expectation of users, the audience, to find sports online. Now, here's where things change. We used to have Eurosport or ESPN in all pay TV services, but that is not happening when it comes to streaming. How many people, when we go and ask our respondents, when we do online surveys, consumer surveys, and we ask them, so how often do you want to watch content online? And then how often do you expect to find sports online? That is the chart on the bottom left. And I brought here USA and EMEA, but we do this at a global scale. And you can see how that preference for watching content online and no longer trying to find it on broadcast channels and pay TV, increasing very fast year after year. At first, a few years ago, it was just about movies and TV, but now it's also becoming about sports. There are hundreds of streaming services dedicated just to sports globally. And we see these numbers continue to increase as well. Leagues having their own streaming services, but at the same time selling those rights to other platforms as well. It will only continue to get more complex and complicated. And in order to understand how to help users find those contents, we need to understand their preferences, we need to understand what they search for, and at Fabric, we do monitor all these contents being distributed, but it's very hard and very difficult to unify this with the correct metadata. So here we've got the preference for watching content on demand, watching live linear TV online, and then watching sports online. In the USA, of course, it's divided between a lot of different sports and leagues. And when it comes to EMEA, well, football, soccer for the US, it is much, much stronger. But when you look at each one of the leagues and the sports rights, things get really complex real fast. I brought here just one example from the NFL, that if you want to watch the NFL in the US, this is how many services you need to subscribe to. And this quickly ramps up to something like $200 a month if you want to watch every single game. And that's not the end of it, because then, even if users subscribe to all of these services, they cannot find their matches. They don't know where they can watch those matches, and we are not, as an industry, providing with a good solution to this issue. We're not letting them know exactly where it is, the match they want to watch, and they go on switching from one streaming service to the other, and that attention gets lost. And people get frustrated, and they end up watching something else. They end up watching the match in a piracy website. And we can do better. We want to do better. And this is why we partner with a leader in sports metadata, SportsDataIO, and that is my cue for you, Dustin.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. We're pretty excited to partner up with Fabric on this because, like he had said, we think things are broken for the consumers, which also leads back to brokenness for the industry, and that really is where, how, and when to watch these games. Where am I going? So first, on top of the core layer, what we're able to bring to the table with Fabric and our partnership is all rich metadata from game feeds to player feeds, even feeds to power gamification, including prediction models and betting odds. There's applications there to enrich the consumer experience, but there's also back-end implications as well, either to trigger dynamic pricing within DSPs or to take any of our rich historical data, match it up against some of that first-party data to be able to see transactions and viewership and build better predictions for the future. And that's something that Becca will be able to talk about also in just a little bit. But all that rich metadata that we're able to bring forward is built on top of our schedules feed. And that really is what it's all about, right? Where, when, and how to watch the game. And that's a difficult challenge for folks to be able to fulfill, but we've got almost 20 years of doing that. As part of the partnership here with Fabric, we're rolling out an expanded coverage with a new universal API. So you can call by game, by sport, by country, by streaming platform, and it includes 1,000+ leagues across more than 100 countries, really kind of global in scale. And so everything connects back to that. In addition to that, though, we think that we'll be able to fulfill most of what folks need, but we're never going to be a one-stop shop for everyone, nor is any data provider. And so as part of this partnership, we're rolling out a new set of open IDs for core entities. That's games, teams, players, and stadiums. So no matter what we're able to bring to the table, or even just as a partner to be some sort of connective tissue across your other data streams, the idea is that we can seamlessly allow partners and other folks throughout the industry to connect to not only their internal metadata, but also external to all the other data streams that they need to bring in to ultimately provide the best fan experience and know when, where, and how to watch that game. And so the first integration that we're having through that open set of IDs is Fabric, and through our partnership there, where they've got 1,000+ streaming platforms across 100+ countries, all together being able to hopefully try to answer where, when, and how to watch the game. Tom?
Thank you. In a way, we're trying to solve the audience, actually, finding where to watch those sports. And this is some heavy lifting that needs to happen in real-time data that we need to gather and keep always up to date. And we know it's worth the effort. We're trying to keep the audience attention because if they leave your streaming service, the streaming services where you deliver the content, if you're an IP owner, if you have sports rights, if you have a streaming service within your corporations or companies of your own, you don't want to lose that attention. You want to keep that in there for as long as you can. And if they leave your platform, your app, your set-top box to Google, oh, where can I watch the game? Well, that's where you lose the audience. You lost that attention, you lost the value, and we can make better. So thank you, Dustin, for coming here to share with everyone about this partnership. And we have a second use case to present on all the data that we've got running on the AWS cloud that we want to share today with our client official charts. And before I give the word to Becca here, I want to share some data as well. So as I said before, Fabric, it gathers information about every streaming service in existence. In EMEA, we're looking at 1,100 active streaming services, so unique streaming services that we monitor. The UK alone has close to 700 unique streaming services. And the amount of titles available in these two is staggering. Now, we also divide this data by business model. So by business model means that the penetration of SVOD, ad-supported on-demand to pure advertised on-demand, those we all know that are growing. That is the trend. Now, what do we make of transactional as a business model? It continues to be of huge relevance. And as for the title of the presentation today about the fan engagement, not only for sports, but also for those households, those viewers that are willing to rent, are willing to buy a content still. They're not going to the movie theaters maybe anymore. And we see that decline in our data too, but they're still renting. And many times we lose sight of this huge part of the business because we have seen many titles going directly to subscription. And then, oh no, we're missing a huge window that is transactional, and that continues to have a huge relevance and importance all across the world. Here I'm just showing EMEA and the UK. And how many titles are being made available on these business models? Because again, the numbers, and this is SVOD, free with ads, and then transactional. In EMEA, it's well close to 200,000 unique titles being made available in transactional. And then we have close to 100,000 being made available in the UK. Now, how do we know what is the right windowing strategy for each one of these contents? If there are any content distributors or IP owners here in the audience, it's not just about like, well, we'll just drop everything on transactional, we'll just drop everything on AVOD and hope for the best. No, there's a strategy to this. But how can we know what is the best windowing strategy is what Official Charts is pursuing to answer, because Fabric only has the availability of this data. We don't know how many rentals or purchases each one of these titles had. And that is my cue for Becca.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, as Tom said, Official Charts, we are interested in the transactional business in the UK. We have a unique business model in that all of our data comes directly from 95% of the UK transactional market, and that comes direct to us, and then we give that back to the studios in our data and analytics portal. So my clients are the transactional teams in the studios. And I'm going to talk a bit about the challenge that we saw a few years ago with our clients. Windowing has completely changed. It used to be that something came out at the cinema and a certain period of time later came out on home entertainment, and it was really standard, and those days are gone. So definitely for the last few years, there are many ways to release a bit of content. You can put it straight onto EST, you can do VOD a bit later. You can do premium releases and really cut that theatrical window short. Then SVOD gets involved, the Netflix, the Apple TV. And there's many different variables. And then you also add in things like genre, or how well something did at the box office. And actually, having all those different variables and all this uncertainty is great news when you're a data company, because all of our clients have the same questions. You know, how long should they keep something before it goes to SVOD? Should they do a premium window? What are their competitors doing? And so it's our data that allows them to do that. And I think crucially as well, in every bit of the window, what then happens to those transactional sales? So we had all our clients asking us the same questions. You know, what's the average premium window in the industry? How long does something stay on transactional before it goes on to SVOD? And we set ourselves this challenge to try to build one tool with all this information in the same place. And to my knowledge, this doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. It only exists in the UK. So we worked with another partner to get the box office data, and the SVOD availability is where Fabric comes in. And the idea is that you can then track the title right through its life cycle. So at each of those monetization windows, you can understand across the market what's happening, right from theatrical to premium EST to EST and VODs, and then onto SVOD. And I'll just give one example of the kind of insight that we can get out of by kind of combining the two data sets. So if you take Indiana Jones that came out a couple of years ago, you can start off and you can see actually what it did at the box office, which was 20 million. Then it came out on EST 9 weeks later. It didn't come onto VOD at all, which at the time was quite unusual. I had 9 weeks until it was released on physical. A week after that, it dropped onto SVOD, in this case, Disney+. And a week after that, it then came out on VOD. And there are, again, for my clients, they want to know when something goes onto SVOD, what then happens to transactional. And in this case, it increased by 10%. So with all the different titles out there, also with studios having their own SVOD platforms, being able to see all this data by title, and for our clients also to see their competitor titles has been really important. And it's had really fantastic feedback from the industry. So we launched it last year. It did win 2 awards. If you've met me before, I generally tell people that when I first meet them. And yeah, having 3 sets of data, one of them being Fabric and another one being our data, has been really, really powerful. And it kind of sent a message to the UK industry that we were being innovative and we were anticipating the kind of questions that our clients wanted answered. And I think, Tom, you're going to talk through this.
This overly simplified slide has so much data running behind it. To put together this ranker with accurate, reliable, up-to-date information is incredibly difficult to achieve. We have to monitor all the transactional data, all what's happening within the availability of the titles, and in order to perfect how to maximize, we have maximizing techniques for having the perfect windowing strategy for every title, from transactional to subscription to free with ads or without ads. It's a massive amount of data when you take into account that there are 1,200 unique streaming services in EMEA alone, and 200,000 unique titles being made available in that business model. And then even way more than that when they go on to free with ads or to subscription. The task that Official Charts has set out to do is massive and is for the UK for now, but we hope we get to expand this to other countries in Europe and the rest of the world and to other business models as well, because we can improve our strategies and the data that we can build together by combining data with different partners so that we can bring a better business and better services to the audience. So I want to thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for this session, and also to AWS, and to our team here at Fabric. Also, thank you, Meg, and thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Dustin, Becca.
Guys.